Hey guys, Bren Hammel here. In this video, what I'm going to do is show you how to build a profitable Google AdWords campaign if you're a builder, renovation or remodeling business, no matter where you are in the world. This video is going to go through everything step by step, showing you what to do, how to do it, and why you should do it. So, without any further conversation, let's jump over the computer and get started. So just before we get started, I think it'd be a good idea if we just had a really quick look at some results here and just how quickly you can get results from Google AdWords and how profitable it can be. So if we just come up here and go to paid traffic, so we're just selecting the Google AdWords traffic for this client that I work with, because I work with a ton of builders, renovation and remodeling businesses around the world. Now this is a client I started working with back in February 2018, so it's a smaller month than normal. And we can see here the first month we generated 21 leads. We didn't track phone calls at this stage, but we are tracking phone calls now. We spent around about $53, I think. So I think that equates to about $26 per lead. So 10 leads cost, we'll roughly round it at $260. If you sell 1 in 5, you're getting a job for around about $130. Of course, those numbers may or may not change depending upon the geographic area that you're located in. More competitive, larger areas, the cost might be a little bit higher. Smaller geographical areas, the cost might be cheaper, but that's not always the case. Moving on to a different kind of client, still in the building world. Here we have a builder that's doing over $20 million per year in revenue. This is the last 30 days, as you can see probably by the video when the date of this video is published, and the date up here, they're quite close together. And we can see 138 leads generated, a whole bunch of secondary desired actions that I've blurred out just because they give away client information. But these guys are probably do over $25 million in 2019, and Google AdWords is a huge backbone to them reaching over 20 million and obviously pushing to over that $25 million mark this year. So just goes to show you that Google AdWords is highly profitable when it's set up correctly, and that's what this video is all about, how you can do it for yourself and create everything from the structure, using the different capabilities, add extensions, etc., and incorporate all these into your own campaign so that you can essentially build a business or businesses just like these guys have, or these clients have. So let's get into the actual nitty-gritty. Now the first step for your campaign is keyword research. The keywords you use within your Google AdWords account are the biggest dictator of success. Now you can get the right account structure, which we'll go through. You can use all the capabilities, which we'll go through quite a large extent of them, and you can send them to the right landing page. But if you get the keywords wrong, it just doesn't work. So as a politically incorrect way to kind of illustrate the fact that if you had a weight loss product and you're trying to pitch it to athletes or people that are thin, you're not going to do very well because they have no desire. So on the flip side, if you have a weight loss product and you're trying to sell it to people that are overweight, yes, you'll do very well because they have a need for it. The intent is there. So the way that keywords work is that there is a behavioral intent to why the person has searched and made that search query. They've got some intent, they've got some desire for information or for a product or service. So you have to kind of put yourself in the shoes of the searcher and think, why is this person searching for this keyword phrase? What's the intent behind it? What do they desire from it? So with that being said, what I want to do is jump in and show you how to conduct really quick research. This is not a keyword research tutorial. I'm quickly going to rip through it just to show you how you can do it for yourself. But again, if you search down in the description below, there'll be a link for a keyword research video tutorial. So what I'm going to do is I found a business in the Houston area. I'm currently in Australia, and we're going to use these guys as for this dummy campaign. They're Marwood Construction. I picked them because they do multiple different services within their construction business. They do bathroom remodeling, kitchen remodeling, custom homes, etc. So this would be a good tutorial if you're a business that has multiple different arms to your business. You might do renovations, extensions, remodeling, homes. You might only do 1 or 2. You might just do kitchens and bathrooms, etc. Nonetheless, you'll be able to understand how to structure your campaigns and account and build a very good and profitable Google AdWords campaign really quickly. So getting back to keyword research, we want to zip up to the top right hand corner, come over to the keyword planner. We want to select find new keywords, and what we want to do here is we're going to start with possibly kitchen remodeling Houston. Kitchen remodeling Houston. We don't need to capitalize the H for Houston. It is saying that I have misspelled remodeling. I'm just spelling it the same way that Ma would have. So we'll just click enter and we'll get started. And this is like the foundation of how we will go about our keyword research. So what we'll have here is you have to be careful that the right country selection. That's why we have just cancel. That's why we have such small kind of average monthly search volumes here, 10, because we up here we have Australia selected instead of the United States. So what we want to do is press the X for the incorrect country, come over to the United States, press save. We can see really quickly there that all the states were selected, and we can see that the search volumes have jumped straight up. So what we want to do here is start to have a look about, okay, we're building a kitchen campaign and we want to find all the kitchen related keyword phrases. Now what you want to do here is start looking for keywords that are obviously kitchen based, that are related to the particular service, such as remodeling or renovation, depending upon what your country calls the particular service. So what we see here is that this is the actual keyword phrase that we typed in up the top here. And what we want to do is we want to start selecting the keywords that are applicable. Now, when we start thinking about intent, we have to be careful because we get kind of gray area keyword phrases such as Houston remodeling. It's not specific to any particular form of remodeling. So this one is a little bit of a gray area, and we want to kind of pay close attention to how we use these types of particular keyword phrases, because they might be after bedroom, bathroom, kitchen, what have you, kind of, or form of remodeling. So what we want to do is we want to start to find all the kitchen based remodeling keyword phrases. Now there's a couple of ways to filter and make this quicker for you. So we can click just up here and we can click closely related ideas, and they will give us both the search volume and the query of all the different related keyword phrases to our kind of foundation keyword phrase that we selected up here. So this is what we want to do, is start to put all these into an Excel spreadsheet. Now I'm not going to do that for this video, but this is something that you want to do because we're going to use these later. Secondarily, what you want to do is come back to broad based, add filter, and we want to go down to keyword text, select contains, and we want to type in kitchen. Now it's quite often that this will give us a larger selection of keyword phrases than selecting the closely matched option there. I recommend going through both and selecting as many keywords as you can, and then going through and changing the foundation keyword at the top to a slightly different keyword phrase. So you might try kitchen renovation Houston, kitchen design Houston, and find all your keywords. Once you have them all listed in an Excel spreadsheet, you're ready to fire and jump to the next step of the video. So let's go to the next step, which is going back to the dashboard of Google Ads. So to get back there, all we have to do is click the X, click the back button just there, and here we are back to the home page of the Google Ads interface. So the next step is thinking about the account structure. Now, I see so many different AdWords accounts, no matter the industry, where the account structure is incredibly wrong because they don't know how to, effectively structure their campaigns correctly in a way that allows them to manage their campaigns, quickly and efficiently, but also target and supply ads and landing pages that matches the intent of the keyword phrases that they're targeting. So to give you an idea, and this again is a whole separate tutorial, which I have a video in the description about, that you should definitely have a look at, that goes for around about 10 minutes purely just on account structure, because it is so important. If you get it wrong, it can drastically hinder the performance of your Google AdWords campaign. If you get it right, the management is easier and the results far exceed, any other form of poor account structure. I know that sounds kind of obvious, of course, but I just see it so often. Even just recently, I've just audited a Google account, and I'm now working upon this person spends near 50,000 Australian dollars per month, and the account structure is awful. And I think hypothetically that, or not hypothetically, but I think once I have restructured everything, the cost per sale will drop by half, which will improve profitability, improve revenue. So it's just so important that you do get the account structure right. So when it comes to account structure, it's very important, and what I want to do is just touch upon it really quickly to give you a foundation idea of how you need to structure your campaigns and how the actual structure works within Google AdWords. So what we have here is how Google Ads is structured and how you will move in and around this structure to craft your campaigns. So overall, we have your account structure, which has kind of global settings such as the currency, the time zones, etc. Beneath that, you have campaigns. Now, campaigns will be set up into the actual core services or different services that you have within your business, such as home building, kitchen remodeling, bathroom renovation, etc. Now, you'll have different campaigns per service, as I've just mentioned, and underneath you have ad sets. Now, the ad sets act as little miniature houses for ads and keywords. So what we have here, if we had a home building campaign, that these two ad sets, custom home builder and custom home design, would have custom home builder keywords, and obviously the custom home design ad set would have custom home design keywords. Now, a lot of people would like to put the keywords above the ads in terms of the account structure or how they think about the structure. I like to do it back to front, because what I want to do is I want the ads to be as relevant as possible to the keywords. So if I could make a more relevant ad for the keyword and the intent behind the keyword, I'll place it in a different ad group. So we have a little example here that I can write slightly more relevant ads for custom home builder based keywords as opposed to custom home design. I can write slightly different ads that are more relevant to custom home designs. It's a slightly perhaps different service, slightly different intent. So I break them off into two different ad sets, and I have all the design keywords here and all the home builder keywords here, and I have relevant ads to the keywords here, relevant ads to the keywords here, and so on and so forth to the different services and arms of your business. So we have kitchen, we'll have a kitchen campaign that has these two ad sets, and again, it's the exact same kind of structure going forward. Now, if we move across to the next slide just here, we can see a campaign. So we can see it actually in action here. So we have the kitchen renovation Houston campaign, and we have kitchen renovation Houston, the ad set, and it houses the ads, the keywords, and we have negatives, which are also very important. So to start from top to bottom, so we have a kitchen renovation Houston ad set. It houses the ads that are very relevant to both the ad set, obviously, but more importantly, the keywords that are housed in this ad set. So we can use the actual, we can talk about the features and benefits of our renovation service. We can talk about the emotional appeals of our renovation service, etc. Now, they're slightly different to design. So we have 3 ads in each ad set that are relevant to the keywords here. Now, it's important to talk about match types, and we'll talk about match types later. I like modified broad match, that's why the plus sign is next to each of the particular keywords, which I'll talk about later. Now, because this keyword is purely about the renovation, we don't want any kind of design related keywords triggering these ads, because they're highly targeted and highly relevant to the renovation service. So in the negative keywords, we want to cancel out any design based keywords. So no design based keywords will show for any ads in this ad set. Moving through, again, it's the whole kind of same kind of thing, is that the ads are relevant, the keywords are relevant to the ads, etc. And this time we would minus remodeling, renovation, etc. because we don't want any renovation, or a third ad set would be remodeling. We wouldn't want any of those ad sets or ads triggering design-based keyword phrases. So there's multiple different reasons why this kind of structure is best. It lowers cost per click, it increases quality score, ad relevancy, it improves the conversion rate because you can provide more relevant ads to the search query and get those people to the most appropriate page more quickly, if that all makes sense. So again, this isn't a full tutorial about account structure, but it gives you an idea to be able to watch the rest of this video and create your own Google AdWords campaign for your business. So with that being said, let's jump into how we start the build and structure everything within our Google Ads account. So what we want to do is we want to create a new account. This is just a dummy campaign. And when we come here, we start to set the goal objective and what you want your campaign to do. I typically start with website traffic, and it's very, very important that you set up conversions. You want to be tracking phone calls and form completions, just like I showed you with the 2 case studies at the start of the videos with my clients. Now what we're doing here is we're selecting the campaign type. Now there's multiple different types of campaigns within Google. The most successful for builders, renovation, remodeling based businesses are definitely search campaigns. We do definitely get into the GDN, but I'm not going to talk about that in this video. Shopping is not applicable. Video can be applicable, but there's a little bit more of a barrier to entry because you have to have videos created. Now we want to start with search, and what we want to do is grab your website's address. And that's what I'm doing here, is I'm grabbing the website's address, we pop it in here. This is our little friend in Houston. Now we did select the search campaign. Now Google tried to sneakily also select the display network. Very important that we deselect this because you do not want to be running on both networks at once. They're both separate animals, and the campaigns are structured and need to be treated incredibly differently. Now I'm not going to talk about the display as I mentioned, but so the first step is definitely to deselect the display network, because it can drastically cost you a lot of money and you get barely any results because of the way that it targets the way it uses its targeting. So what we want to do is we're going to name this campaign, and we're going to start with kitchen remodeling. That's going to be the core service for this business. So as we slide down, we can use dynamic search ads, which will pull and create ads using from our website. I don't like that option. I want to control everything so I can test everything. The more control that you have, or that I have, I like to have full control. Not that I'm a control freak or anything, but I'm certainly a control freak when it comes to marketing, because I don't want Google's third party to be measuring and optimizing based upon metrics that aren't valuable to my clients. So you can definitely try this later once you have more conversion data, but at the start I kind of would lean against doing everything manually because you have more control. So we move down to more settings, and we just have start and end dates. We start the day that we create the campaign unless you have a reason not to. We have no end date unless you have a reason to have an end date. Might be a topical form of promotion, and that's fine. We have campaign URL options. I typically don't get into this all that often because we will use auto tagging between Google Analytics and Google AdWords, and a lot of this will be taken care of automatically. Now it's probably safe to assume that these guys are typically based in the Houston area. So we want to unselect that, and we want to type in Houston, Texas. I like to go with the Nielsen DMA regions. It gives me a larger reach, and with the base of keyword targeting, I like to filter down that large kind of pool of people down to a smaller base through the targeting features that we'll talk about later through. So we would select Houston. Now if you're a business that, because Houston is such a large geographical area, and you only target small areas, you can start to target by postcode. So you can list all the postcodes that you service, and that will allow you to really, in a really specific way, target the areas that you just want to promote your business and promote your services with. So hypothetically, we're in the Houston area. This person services all of Houston, so that's the style we're going to go with. As we move down to location settings, I recommend sticking with the top. It is recommended because people might be outside the Houston area that want your services away with work, on holidays, etc. And this one is people in or show interest in your targeted location. So definitely the first one is the one that I use for builders, etc. People in your targeted locations is just as it says, people just within the Houston area, or people searching for your targeted locations, people outside or within Houston, but they have to have that geographical kind of keyword of Houston in the search query for the ads to be triggered. Exclude people in or who show interest in your excluded locations. If you want to exclude locations through, you can do that also. Typically I don't do that because the targeting is so specific here. So moving down, here you can target languages based upon how your website is, how it's written. If it serves multiple different languages, you can select multiple different languages here just by typing. So as we come down to audiences, we can see a number of different options and things of that nature. Now, these are layers that you can use within your Google search campaigns based upon demographics and in-market audiences and remarketing and similar audiences. Now, typically the top two were traditionally used within the GDN or the Google Display Network, and I don't really use them for many search campaigns, and I don't think on the top of my head I use them for any building campaign, so I'm not going to touch upon the top two. Now, this one here, yes, I definitely do use, because there's RSA ads, like remarketing ads for search in a way. So the way that works is that if people come to your website and then leave, so they come from your website in any way, shape or form, doesn't have to be through a Google ad. They come to your website, view some pages, etc., don't complete the desired action that you wish for them to undertake, but then they make a Google search query based upon a service or keyword that you're optimizing your Google AdWords campaign for. You can strategically increase your bid for that keyword phrase to get them back because they've been to you before. Now, the likelihood of a conversion on the second time around is statistically higher, because once you've established that first initial relationship, the second time around it's kind of like a second date. The first date, you kind of can't ask for marriage because it's just crazy. And the second time you can ask for more. Still crazy to ask for marriage, but if you were to ask for marriage, you've got a far larger chance of getting a yes than you would on the first date. So the remarketing lists for search ads work fantastically well, and I'm not going to go through a tutorial about them in this video, but definitely something to investigate because they will drive more conversions. So that's just an option for you to investigate at a later date once you've finished building this campaign. Now, as we come down to budget, I have pounds set here. This is just a dummy account, and that's the currency that's set. Now, to work out the budget per day, I like to look at it from start with something moderate and then work your way up. The budgets will differ for building, renovation, remodeling businesses, typically based upon the kind of service that you offer. Typically, like the builders have a larger market in terms of search volume, and then as you kind of get more specific and niche down to the particular services, the search volume shrinks a little bit. It also is dependent upon obviously the geographical population of the region that you service. So typically, I like to start smaller, and then once I see that the cost per acquisition to generate a lead for the client is good, I scale up the budget, because essentially there should be no limit to your budget. Because if you're getting leads at a rate that's generating a transaction for your business that's acceptable to your business model, then you're just worried about is getting as many leads as possible. So hypothetically, let's say that $25 a lead, you sell 1 in 10, you sell a kitchen renovation for $20,000, that you're closing a deal for $250 to earn $20,000, excluding referrals from that potential new client. So that might be a situation where you're like, I'm happy, I just want as many leads as I can, and I'm actually willing to spend $40 per lead. So now it's just a lead volume situation that get as many leads as we can. You might have a quite strict phone script that pre-qualifies the people that you deem as tire kickers and time wasters and people that can't afford the service that you provide. It pre-qualifies all those people out, allowing them to spend more time with the dedicated people that you're deemed as highly qualified and desirable prospects. So with that being said, typically somewhere between $20 and $50 per day is a good starting base. I like to start at $50, typically because I know that my campaigns that I start are somewhat templatized. That's not a word, but it gets the idea across. So typically between somewhere in $20 and $50 a day. Once you see your cost per acquisition at a rate that you're happy with, scale up to pretty much unlimited. I wouldn't say that as unlimited in case you ever change a setting that's incorrect and it will spend an exceptional large amount of money, but you might move to $100 a day because your market cap might be, or the largest spend that the search impression share allows is only 80. So you'll only hit 100 at the worst case scenario. So kind of gives you a bit of an idea of loosely how to play with budget. We've got delivery method. Stay with standard because it evenly distributes your budget throughout the day. Accelerated will burn through your budget kind of as quickly as possible, and you'll get a slightly better, typically a slightly better cost per acquisition with standard as opposed to accelerated. I generally use accelerated for kind of like brand awareness campaigns, and I don't really like to do them, and I don't do many of them. I like to be able to measure any form of marketing that I do because what can be measured can be improved. So as we come down here, what do we want to focus on? Initially, we want to focus on clicks, and we want to change the bidding strategy to use a bid strategy of manual cost per click. So what we have here is Google will use enhanced cost per click to help us get a few more conversions if they deem that particular prospect within the Google search is applicable. So I usually keep that clicked. I use manual cost per click. So in the initial phase, I want to have all control. I want to control everything. Again, we're back to that kind of control freak mentality. We want to know, all our numbers, what drives conversions, what doesn't, etc. We don't want Google to have any form of control in the initial stage. Later in the track, you can definitely try target CPA, target cost per acquisition of a lead. So you might say to Google, hey, I'm happy to pay up to $80 per lead. Optimize this campaign for to generate leads for $80 or less per lead, and you might be happy with that. Google will optimize for that. I do use that in some campaigns, but you need a little bit of data for that. So definitely start with manual cost per click. Some of the other ones, maximize conversions. If you're in a geographical area where there's little competition, you might just say, hey, just get me all the conversions that you can. I have a killer sales process, etc. I'm crushing this. I just want as many leads as possible. That's another option. Maximize clicks. Google will do as it says or modify the bidding per keyword in order to generate as much traffic to your landing pages as possible. Some of the other ones are kind of self-explanatory, but I typically don't use them because of the control in terms of reaching the desired objective is, it's just not ideal in my opinion. So nonetheless, moving through, we have show more settings, ad schedule. You can play with this in some ways that you might only want to show ads between 9 and 5. So the way that you set this up, so let's say that you're a business that runs 9 to 5 Monday through Friday, and you're open from 9 till midday on a Saturday. So what we do is select Monday to Fridays. We scroll down to, this is in 24-hour time, so it's quite easy to to know the times. So we come down to 9 till 5, and so here, and then we add Saturdays just here, and we just do the exact same thing, and we just scroll down to 9. And now the reason you might do that is because you might be getting more phone calls, or that you deem that leads are lower quality, that are after hours, etc. This is just purely example. You typically set them to run all day, every day, because I find that is the best way to lead. It's just leads, because builders and renovation remodeling businesses have high ticket items. It's just typically just a lead volume game that you're trying to generate as many leads as possible, and that's what I'm trying to show you how to do in this particular video. So I would let this run to all days, 24 hours a day. Then we've got ad rotation. Optimize prefer best performing ads. Do not optimize rotate indefinitely. And then you've got the two bottom options that are, because of the way we're structured this campaign, aren't able to be selected. Now, if you're going to manage your campaign, spend an hour or two a week, typically to be properly managed, you probably want to spend a little bit more than that. But if you're going to spend an hour or two a week, okay, do not optimize rotate ads indefinitely. Then you have control about which ads show, which ads don't show. You can rewrite ads, etc. That's the way I go about things, because this is my actual business, my service, and this is what I do day in, day out. This is my bread and butter, so I like to have control. Now, if you're not doing that, let Google control them. If you write, you will definitely be writing 3 different ads. If you have 1 really good ad and 2 poor ads, you want your good ad to show, and you don't want to realize 6 months in the track that, hey, I've got 2 poor ads that are being shown evenly, and you've left money on the table because of that. So I'll let you decide on which option you choose there. For the sake of this, I'm choosing the one that I use mostly. Now, when we come to ad extensions, now when people run Google AdWords for themselves, they skip this part, and it's not recommended to do so. The reason being is because you can get, well, as it says here, get a 15% higher click-through rate. I think it's actually a fair bit more than that, to be fair, because you take up more real estate, and if you take up more real estate, your ad is bigger. You have more areas to reach and display and answer the intent behind the searcher's query or their actual behavioral intent. So what I mean by this, and what we'll get into, is, so first off, we have site link extensions. So site link extensions are pretty obvious, and we've all seen them many times before. So site link extensions are these options here, where it allows you to match different aspects of the same intent behind the query. So hypothetically, someone's typed in Nike shoes, etc., and this ad has shown, so they've shown like a relatively general ad up the top here, but you might be after a particular, the new Nike Pegasus, but you haven't put that in your search query. It's like, oh, okay, I can go straight to the page that's behind my intent. So it allows you to, and also allows you to take up a fair bit more real estate, as I mentioned before. This enhances your quality score, lowers your cost per click, it drives up click-through rates, and it can also loosely improve conversion rates. These are all benefits, and this is why you need to be spending time in and around this area. So to set them up, new site link extension, obviously this is a kitchen-based campaign. So we want to come back to our fantastic friends at Marwood Construction, come to their kitchen remodeling page, and we want to just have a look and see, do they have any kind of internal links that might be beneficial. So we have gallery, so we obviously want a gallery page that's applicable. Do they have kitchens in here? They do have kitchens. So we don't want to send them the gallery page, we want to send them straight to kitchens. So we come back and we go down to final URL, we paste in the gallery kitchen URL, and we might say, we would fill out all this just here. So the way you fill this out is just as I have done here. So we have the URL, so we're going to the kitchen gallery, past kitchen projects, see our recently completed kitchens, get ideas for your kitchens. I wouldn't typically write it this way, I've just done it. really quickly just to give you an idea, and then you would find the next page that's applicable. You usually want to have up to more than 4, or at the minimum of 4. So we might say profile, or kind of like stereotypically the about us page. So again, we would type here and we'd go back, come back here and say about us, etc., and we would fill this out, and we would find 4 relevant other pages outside of the core kitchen remodeling page to try and drive people into our website that meet the intent of in and around kitchens. So once we've filled all that out, you would press the save button, obviously, and then move on. Call out extensions, again, are really easy. We're trying to take up more space and call out the audience that we want to target. Talking about features, benefits, who you're ideal for, etc., etc. These are just straight up 25 character like hacked sentences. They're not proper sentences. You don't have to be grammatically correct or have the correct punctuation, but something that grabs attention is usually best here. Now, call extensions, just as they sound, it's getting a phone number here. Now you can use all account level call extensions, the phone number here, which I've already added, and you can add a new call extension by just going through the steps here, adding your phone number, having call reporting still on, using the account settings as the default one, and you're all set up to go. Advanced options, again, this is a good one as well. You can have this so the call extension only shows between the hours that your phones are manned, and it's essentially the same principles as we went through before in terms of selecting Monday to Fridays and any additional days that your business is open. So that's how you would do call extensions. And then also just don't forget to select the call extension or any extension for that matter as you've created it. Moving through to structured snippets. So we can add structured snippets here. Again, we can select different types of services, different types of headers here. So the different brands that you use, things of that nature. Pick it could be styles, depends on what your kind of, or models, depends on the service that you're providing and how you structured this, and then you just add kind of like features or benefits or things that are applicable to the option above. These are all predefined and pretty simple to kind of fill out this. And then obviously once you have done that, again, it's a similar again here, select the time if you wish or wish not to do that. You want to be using as many of these as you can, as always. You want to add the locations as well. To add the locations, you got to link, I've blurred out a little section here because it's come up with a client. You've got to link your account to your local listing, and then it just automatically imports. It's really simple, but then you get that map feature. Again, it takes up a larger piece of real estate and can work really well. The other extensions are not really applicable. Sometimes the promotion extension, if you're running like a topical form of promotion or things of that nature, price usually isn't applicable for builders and the remodeling renovation apps and messages. Again, I don't typically use either. So now that we've finished all the settings, we can move on to save and continue. And I'm just going to disregard this because if I refresh, what are the odds of people Google updating the interface while in the middle of a tutorial? But nonetheless, so what we have here is we want to stay with a standard ad group type. And now that, remembering that we're in a kitchen campaign, this ad group that we're going to start off with is for kitchen remodeling. The default bid, we're going to bid $1. This will change based on keyword phrases. Now going back to the account structure really quickly. Now this ad group is only based for keyword remodeling keywords. This keyword remodeling ad group is only based for keyword remodeling keyword phrases. Bit of a tongue twister there. Now talking about the keyword match types, I have a video talking about the keyword match types below where I go through in detail about how the different match types work. But really specifically, what we want to do is kitchen remodeling Houston, and I like to start with modified broad match for MB for modified broad match. Now I'm going to quickly talk through. So what we have here is we're going to add our keyword kitchen remodeling Houston. Now as it stands here, it matches the broad match. Now we will show for any keyword phrases that is somewhat loosely related to this phrase here. So it could be remodeling Houston. We could show for bathroom remodeling. We could show for bedroom remodeling. Anything based around remodeling or kitchens. We could it could be kitchen sinks Houston. We could show ads for that. This is the most broad form of targeting. I do not like this match type whatsoever, and I do not recommend using it. Next we have phrase type, which is implemented by 2 quotations on either end of the phrase. And what happens here is that this phrase in running order, so as it is, has to be used by the person making the query. So they might say best kitchen remodeling Houston services. So because the running text is all congruent and in order, your ad will trigger in this ad group. So what happens is that any infinite amount of words can be added before and after this phrase, and your ad will show. So it's adding a tighter form of targeting for your keyword phrases, but still giving you a little bit of a broad nature. Then we have exact, which is obviously, as it sounds, is that this phrase is all you'll show for. So it is the tightest amount of control. And this is something that I do use when I find keywords that are performing particularly well, and I move them into their own ad group, create specific ads for them, etc. I can afford to have a higher bid amount for that keyword phrase because I know it works well, the conversion rate's high, and I know it's a low cost per acquisition. It's just a lead volume. I just want to get as much traffic through that keyword and through those ads as possible because I know it generates very good leads at a very good cost. So the last one is modified broad match, which they don't have down below, but we use that. We use this match type using the addition or plus sign. Now what happens here is that these words have to be used by the person making the search query. They all have to be included in the search query, but they can be used in any which way. So this, I like it because it gives you tight control that all these words have to be used within the person's search query, so we know the intent is there, but it gives us that range or that kind of broad reach that will get a lot more traffic than if we were to use phrase match and certainly exact match, but we're not as loose and hitting unrelated keywords as if we were to use broad match. So I hope that kind of gives you an idea. Now to give you an idea of how that can kind of work, we want to now say kitchen design Houston. So we come in here, again, default bid of £1 or $1, whatever your currency is. And what we want to do is obviously don't forget to add the modified broad match or the match type that you're using for your particular setup. We come down, what we do is we add the plus sign to each of them, and now we have another ad group that will have ads related to kitchen design, because this business isn't doing it, but they may or may not in the future have a page dedicated around kitchen design, so it answers the intent behind that search query. So that's the reason why you set up this type of structured ad groups, because you can send people to the right page more quickly, but also even if you don't have a page dedicated to the intent behind the keyword, but it's still relevant to your website, it allows you to show more relevant ads. So there's a huge benefit there. Again, you want to go through and just keep on adding ad groups based upon the keyword phrases that you found earlier in the keyword research part of this video. So now that we're finished, we're up to the ad creation section. So what we want to do is we want to find the kitchen remodeling based page and grab the URL, whip back. I like to paste the final URL first, and we can see that's what I have. So now we're up to the ad creation bit. Now I cannot stress just how important this is. Now things that you want to target upon the positioning of your business, the emotional appeal of the service, of the emotional appeal of your service, the possibly features of your service, but more so the benefits. You want to incorporate in these elements into your ad. It's vitally important that you do so, and that you create 3 different ads per ad group, because it's staggering the difference in performance different ads can have. Yes, you don't get much room or much text to play with, but it still has a huge bearing on the performance. So I like to use dating analogies to explain different marketing concepts. So for this one, it's kind of, if you were setting someone up, or someone was setting you up for a blind date. Now let's just say we will run with that you're male, and a friend of yours is setting you up with a potential female partner. Now if they were to say, meet up with my friend Jane, she's a good person, we'll tee up something for Thursday at 7 o'clock at XY restaurant. It's like, well, I don't know who Jane is. It's not a good ad for Jane. No offense to Jane at this stage, but we don't know. Now if the person was to say that Jane, she's 35, you're 35 as well. Jane's 35, she's a cardiologist, surgeon based in Houston. She does a lot of let's say charity work. She's fun, outgoing, loves to travel. Similar kind of qualities to yourself. You're obviously not a doctor, but nonetheless, it paints a picture of who Jane is, and that person may be desirable to you. So that is a far better ad to Jane in just a few small phrases and sentences. That's essentially what this ad is doing. If you do a good job, it enhances the perception of the person coming into your website, just as it enhances the perception of Jane. So definitely spend a little bit of time around these ads here. So what I'm going to do, pause the video, and I'm going to create some ads. So what I've done here is create a few ads, or just one ad actually, to give you a sense of what you should and shouldn't be doing within your ads when you create them for yourself, for your particular services. Now, at the starting level with ads, I like to use the keyword phrase that I previously targeted for the particular ad group that we're now crafting ads for. So kitchen remodeling Houston, 26 characters out of 30, so we're close. Stunning luxury kitchens, and emotional appeal of both of these, stunning luxury kitchens that will impress your friends. I have found that there's a fair bit of emotional ego involved with kitchens and bathrooms and homes, etc. And people like to get a sense of mine is better than yours kind of thing. Or typically I hear that my clients say to me that their clients are saying that someone else, one of their friends just built a new home or got a new kitchen, or etc. etc. So I always like to target in around that kind of emotional appeal. Next one is more around features and benefits. Get a free consultation and 3D kitchen design, unlimited revisions until it's perfect. So we're talking about features and benefits there. Create the kitchen you've always wanted, back to the emotion. So this is just not the best example that I would use, but it just shows you the elements that you can incorporate and should incorporate within your ads. So after you've done that, you click done, and then you want to start selecting, create the 2 additional ads that you've created. Now we see a quick little summary, and we want to save and continue. So we haven't created an ad for our second ad group. So what I've gone through and done is just create a really quick one. I've used the wrong URL, but just for the sake of getting through this quickly, you would definitely use a kitchen design, or a page that better targets the intent behind the keyword phrase. As I've mentioned before, they don't have a kitchen design page, so I've just used the kitchen remodeling one. This is for the kitchen design keyword phrase and ad set. Kitchen design Houston, stunning kitchen designs, etc. etc. And this time, just for the sake of a different element that you can use, I've used scarcity, limited consultations available per month. You could say book now. So once we've done, we click save and continue. Again, I must strongly reiterate that you do have 3 ads per ad group. Continue through to campaign, and we can see we're inside our campaign at the moment, and we can see the ad groups. So effectively at this stage, we've created our Google Adwords campaign, and but yours would be much larger. You would be targeting, all the key services that you wish to provide, and etc. So what we want to do now is add the negative keywords. So we don't want design ads showing for remodeling, and we don't want remodeling ads showing for design. So what we do is we click into the remodeling ad set. We click into negative keywords. We want to add a negative keyword, add to this ad group. We want to select the remodeling, and we just want to add design. So again, this is just to say that we only want design ads shown for design keywords. We want remodeling ads shown for remodeling keywords, and not vice versa or any kind of crossover. So we click save, and then we quickly come back to the other ad set, and we do the exact same thing. So I'm not going to do that now, but you would definitely do that. Now, some of the other kind of management aspects that you want to undertake, once your campaign's up and running, you want to come into search keywords, and then move over to search terms. And now what will happen here is you want to change the date range to week on week. This is like a weekly activity, then moves on to a monthly activity. So you do it once a week for probably around about 4 weeks, and then move on to a monthly activity. What you'll see here is just a whole bunch of keyword phrases that you do not want to show for. So it might be cheap kitchen remodeling Houston. You don't want to show for cheap kind of base keyword phrases. So then you come back to negatives. We come up here to select the negative option. This time we go campaign. We're in the kitchen remodeling campaign, and we just add cheap because we don't want to be associated with cheap because it doesn't fit our business model. Now that's perfect. That's perfectly fine. There's no judgment around that. It's actually, I'm a huge advocate of that. If that is your business model, that you strongly pre-qualify the people out that you do not want to work with, and we click save. Now you'll find a whole bunch of people in there, a whole bunch of keyword phrases that you don't want to show for, and that's how you start to manage there. Next, in terms of management, what you want to do is come down to devices. Again, after probably about a month, you want to come in here and start to have a look at where your conversions are coming from in terms of device type. Now, typically, you'll probably see at this stage more mobile traffic than computer traffic or tablet, but you might hypothetically say that tablets do not perform very well for you. For what reason, we don't know. It could be usability, it could be a number of things. It doesn't matter. What we can do is we can decrease the bid for tablets by a lower percentage. So say 20%. So instead of our bid being $1, it'll now be 80 cents because our cost per acquisition is high for tablets, and it's outside of our range of profitability. So we want to lower the bid range to only accrue leads that fit in with our cost per acquisition. Now, hypothetically, that mobile phones do really well. We might say, hey, let's increase by 10%, and computers are around that kind of happy mark, so we'll leave them. So that's a way to manage your AdWords campaigns for device type. Now that we come back to all campaigns, we can come back here, we can come back into campaigns, and over to the side here we have all different types of information. So here we can also change the ad schedule if you're finding that you only want to show your ads between certain times, etc. We can do things here. So like things moving forward as well, I'm not going to get right into the nitty gritty of management on an ongoing thing, but definitely managing consistently will improve your results and also keep you in a good stead as this medium becomes more competitive and your competitors are optimizing theirs. AdWords is a model where you're constantly competing against your competitors. Every time a search query is run, an auction is ran. So as they improve and you don't, they will pull apart from you and their business will continue to grow. That's why the constant management is really important. So what we want to do is come into our kitchen remodeling campaign and start to evaluate which ad groups are performing well, which are not. We want to investigate why and why not they're doing well. So we might say the remodeling ad group is not doing very well. Why is it not doing very well? Now, do we have the right keywords selected here? Are the devices incorrect? Or are the ads, do we have low performing ads? Now, I've touched upon devices. Now what we want to do, the location should be right as well, and I'll show you how to do the location-based review as well. So what we want to do is come into ads, and we'll see our 3 ads. We only have 1 here at the moment, but we want to evaluate them in terms of conversions, cost per conversions, typically mostly cost per conversions. So if we have an ad that's getting a conversion for $10 and we have 2 ads for around $30 and $40, but they have high click-through rate, I mean, we might want to pause these 2 ads and then merge the 2 aspects of these ads with this ad and try and get an ad that has a high click-through rate and also a good cost per acquisition, always trying to beat the ad with the lowest kind of cost per conversion. Now, if your cost per conversion is lower than what you're happy with, so again, it might be $50, but we've got cost per conversions under 30, but somewhere around the $15 mark and $25 mark, etc. You might want to optimize for just based on volume, not actual. You might have an ad that is getting a low cost per conversion but low volume because the CTR is low. So you might want to tweak the ad to improve it in terms of getting a higher CTR and getting more conversions. So there's definitely a context-based situation when you are evaluating the performance of ads. Now, once we get back into the overview and coming back to all campaigns, one of the issues that I can see, or that I do see typically, is people get the locations wrong. And what you want to do is evaluate your locations correctly, making sure that you aren't getting strange areas that you do not cater for, that people in those strange locations are seeing your ads. And you can do that here and make sure that is checked right. So that is some of the basic kind of ways to help manage your account moving forward. So yeah, that's this kind of wrapping up the video, the tutorial. If you have any questions, feel free to email me. Any kind of questions that you have in and about the video or your online marketing in general. I'm always happy to talk with new people, because I typically, it's one of my most favorable parts of my day is just talking to new people about the business. There's no obligation. There's certainly no sales in and around that. That's for sure. I'm not like that in any way, shape or form. The conversation's guided by you. Now, if you do want to meet up or to book a phone call, just come over to brenhammel.com. Sorry, just click. If you do want to book, a free consultation type of thing, where it's completely guided by you, come over to brenhammel.com. Slide down to the bottom. Click this button here. Fill in your details. Me or my team will send you an email. We'll schedule a time. We'll talk. Typically, conversations can go for as short as 10 minutes. Some have gone for about an hour, but that's up to you. Again, there's no selling, no pressure in these conversations. There's no obligation, and the conversation is focused about what you want to get, your marketing and business questions. So that's the video. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. These videos are free. I think they're extremely valuable. I get tons of comments saying that they are. So the only reason I really do them is because of the feedback that I get through Facebook. Again, like me on Facebook. The links are below. If you did like the video, give me a shout out and say, yeah, I enjoyed the video. If you want feedback about any particular questions, you can hit me up through that form or message me on Facebook or leave a comment in the video below. And I'll leave with the comment of, what do you and don't you like about Google AdWords for your building, renovation or remodeling business? Answer that question below, and I'll engage and try and help you, with the things that you do and don't like, and we can start having a conversation and discussion below. So with that being said, I hope you've enjoyed the video. I've certainly had a very good time in presenting it, and hopefully I'll see you in the next video, and who knows, we might even have a conversation one day. Bye bye.